the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sullivan, McGrath, here. Lee, Collins, here. Childers, present. Dessler, Owen, here.
We'll start with 207's Best for Academic Excellence. First up, Denise.
Great. Hello, everybody. I am very pleased to introduce Maine East's selection for 207's Best in the area of academic achievement, Hannah Flood. So what can I tell you about Hannah? I had the pleasure of getting to work closely with her for the last 2.5 years. She's a member of our principal student leadership team. She is among the top students in the senior class this year with a GPA of about 4.64. She's, you would expect, currently enrolled in quite a few AP classes and was last year and the year before, and a whole lot of accelerated as well. In addition, she's currently actually in AP Art Studio this year, which is a little unique in terms of the APs in that rather than sitting for an exam, students actually work more than just the year. I would imagine she's probably started prepping last year in terms of the preparation of that portfolio that she is preparing. She's also an active member of the Gifted Lyceum program, and has been a 4-year member of the cross-country team, and is an active member of East's Poetry Slam team. Thing specific, talking a little bit about AP though, you may have seen in the papers, we have a student, Hannah, who scored a perfect score on her AP US History exam. It was only one of 3 perfect scores in just shy of 500,000 students on the planet who took that exam. So she is certainly no lightweight in a class that takes an enormous amount of reading and reflection and processing. It's not an easy AP by any stretch of the imagination. So I want to read for a minute about Owen Doak, her K-Push teacher from last year, wrote about her because he just stated it so well. So Hannah Flood is an outstanding young person and quite simply the most talented, skilled, hardworking, and accomplished student that I've had in 23 years of teaching. Hannah Flood showed a remarkably consistent ability to analyze historical evidence, synthesize tremendous amounts of outside information, and writing beautifully phrased and persuasive document-based essays. Her scores consistently ranked at the top of the class, including a few perfect scores. In all my assessments, Hannah Flood consistently proved to be an analytical and creative problem solver. In addition, Hannah's leadership in the classroom and consideration of others are just as impressive as her well-documented and superlative academic skills. These skills were very evident as she showed herself to be an articulate leader in class discussions, cooperative activities, and role-play debates. Hannah's social skills and leadership skills shone brightly as a discussion leader in Socratic seminars. She consistently asked well-thought-out, open-ended questions and demonstrated outstanding wait time, listening carefully to students' responses. In cooperative activities, Hannah demonstrated tremendous leadership as well as a natural ability to work collaboratively, showed exceptional consideration for other students, helping them by asking questions of each member of the group. There's an understated joyfulness to Hannah's personality, and Hannah displayed this most often in helping other students in comparative activities. In AP Environmental Science this year, Shelby Riot indicated that she's certainly one of the strongest students she's ever had in AP Environmental Science. Again, noting that she is a leader in terms of class discussions, and actually earlier this year, Shelby's mother had some health concerns. She had to miss some time to help take care of her mother, and routinely actually turned to Hannah to sort of lead the class in terms of the things she was doing. So we had a sub in the room, but Hannah was really the one who had the master contact.
That's just kind of showing off.
In an interview by one of the local papers, I found it interesting. Hannah noted, she said, one of my favorite eras is probably the mid to late 20th century, especially the 1960s, because there are a lot of reforms and progressive movements going on, especially with civil rights and women's rights. She noted that history is changing as we discover more about the present. history isn't just names and dates, it's debatable, which clearly is a timely topic in our world today. But it really helped me kind of put some other things that I knew about her from the last year, year and a half in perspective, because I noted she has a really, really strong sense of social justice, which became very clear to me when I had the opportunity to see her and do a performance at a Poetry Slam event down in the city at Columbia University last spring. And you know, I think the thing that I'm always proud about these students is you hear a lot of great things like Poetry Slam, but we don't do a lot of teen angst. The East kids really tend to have some very definite, well-thought, well-articulated sort of political points of view. And Hannah's performance was absolutely part of that. It was just incredibly strong, but it was also so well done in terms of just the performance aspect. So again, a facet of Hannah that I had not seen because she's kind of, you know, she has a great smile, she's kind of quiet. She, again, is wonderfully articulate. She's kind of an old soul in terms of where she lays back and she's able to go about things. So just to wrap up, I want to quote Owen again in terms of another remark that he made in a letter of recommendation. He said that there is a gentleness and kindness about her that is both remarkable and unique. Can't really say much more than that about it. I'm very proud of her. Sort of quipped with her parents sometimes about, I would like to be like Hannah when I grow up. She's really got it together. So congratulations, very proud of you, and no doubt you're going to set the world on fire in a good sort of way. So congratulations.
So my dad, Eric, and my mom, Becky, are here tonight.
Very good. And what are your plans next year?
So I want to major in secondary art education, and I've been accepted into Indiana Wesleyan University, Calvin College, and Hope College. So I'm in the process of deciding between those three for next year.
Congrats. Nice job.
Next up, Maine West.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Megan Kalinowski. So I came across this quote, she believed she could, so she did, and I think that defines Megan. Anything she sets her mind to, she can do. She is one of the most positive people I've ever met in my life. I've known her, oh man, you started this. I told Megan, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I've known Megan since her freshman year, and she lit up the room when she walked in for the principal's leadership team as a freshman. And she sat back, she asked a couple of questions, and she was not fearful of being in the room with a bunch of seniors who were leaders in front of her, and she has followed in those footsteps and then taken 10 steps above them as well in her approach to academics, athletics, everything in her life. One of the things we like to do on the principal's leadership team is take a strengths test. It's Thomas Rath's Strengths Finder. And I found it really interesting in Megan's case because when I got recommendations from all of Megan's teachers, they touched on every single one of those characteristics when they defined who she was. Futuristic, strategic, competitive, an achiever, and focused. And her entire high school career has been all of those things. She's taken the most difficult classes we have to offer. In her senior year, she's got classes, all accelerated or AP classes. But she's also she's the best golfer on the girls' varsity golf team. She's made it to state for badminton. She's on the National Honor Society, Model UN, Spanish National Honor Society, Warrior Pride, the school-wide fundraiser committee, Pi Sigma Pi. She volunteers at Lurie's Children's Hospital, and she's an intern for Bob Dole. She was an intern for Bob Dole. And she's got a 4.91 GPA, just to throw that in there. And what all of her teachers had in common was the positivity that Megan has. She comes into class happy every day. When she's stressed out, she bakes cookies and then brings them to school and shares them. I've seen her, well, we don't have any whipped cream to show this, but in a meeting, I don't remember how you did it, she very confidently said that she could will show us real quick how.
Hit your hand and the
Hit your hand and then the whipped cream flies up and without missing a beat, caught it in your mouth. And that's a quality to have. I tried it at home that night and it was not successful. But that fun energy that she brings to a room is coupled with that intense desire to do well. So she's really neat. And I want to read what one of her teachers said about her. Mr. McClure, who's actually here, was her junior A-Push teacher. And he says, Megan was my student in advanced placement in United States history. Like many before her, Megan was a thoughtful writer, insightful class participant, and earned a 5 on the AP exam, so a 5 as a junior. Megan stands virtually alone, however, in her unbridled enthusiasm for learning and knowledge. Megan possesses a level of wonder and curiosity that manifests itself in thought-provoking questions and comments. Never a day passed wherein Megan did not answer and ask questions, and the kind of analytical, evaluative questions that would please Benjamin Bloom in education. Her delight in learning is infectious to all around her and her instructors. Throughout the year, Megan and her closest friend typically spent their junior lunch period in the A-Push classroom, reading over documents, checking their notes, and ensuring that she brought her A game every day, which she did in both academic intensity and zest for learning. So she spent her lunch period learning more so that she would be prepared for class. She's an amazing scholar and a wonderful person. I agree, she's an amazing kid. She takes time to send happy pictures to people she thinks needs a bright spot in their day. She's very thoughtful and incredibly bright. Megan Kalinowski. Okay, who's with you tonight?
My parents.
And what are your plans?
I most likely will go to University of Illinois to double major in kinesiology and community health to go pre-med.
Say it one more time, nice and loud.
Oh, kinesiology and community health at the University of Illinois to go pre-med.
To go pre-med.
Awesome. Thank you for
Next up, Minsa.
I'd like to present Sonali Kumar as our 207 Best for Academic Achievement. So to get here in Maine Township, you all have to take the most difficult courses to have the highest GPA and to achieve these levels. So I won't rehash some of the courses that we've heard tonight because I think all of our kids are really involved in those. So I want to look at Sonali and talk about something pretty unique, I think, about her, which is oftentimes our kids will get involved in a lot of different activities, and so now Sonali has done some athletic endeavors. But what really interests me are some of the particular things she gets involved with on the academic competition end, and so I'm going to read a little bit about those for us tonight. She is involved in Model UN, and she's a member of the Science Olympiad team, which is kind of a unique team that we have in the district. And she took a 2nd place in the regional competition in protein modeling. Just think about that, protein modeling. She earned a 2nd place and a 5th place in the forensic category. She's helped rejuvenate our math team, which had been not have too many members on it, but we've really brought it back and have a nice squad this year. She's a member of our math team, and she led to a 1st place regionally and a 5th place in state competition. She's a member of our speech team and is a member of our engineering club, where she participated in the Takeda Challenge, where she designed a mobile app to remind diabetes patients to take their medicine, and presented at the 2016 Motorola STEM Conference. So she's pretty interested in engineering, and so when she has time off in the summer, she's earned admission to the Introduction to Technology and Engineering program and the Summer College Engineering Exposure program at the University of Michigan. So she is super into not only doing well in the classroom, but when she has an opportunity to take those academic skills outside of the classroom, she engages in those all the time. I'm going to read something that Mrs. Ball is here tonight that she had said about you, which I think really does encapsulate Sonali. She had Sonali for AP Calculus. This class is taught in a cooperative learning environment, and Sonali is the ultimate teammate. When her role is to lead, she is a terrific leader, but when her role is to follow, she's an active participant, cooperates, and communicates effectively. Sonali is kind and respectful, and people want to work with her. Sonali is gentle and warm-hearted and has a smile that lights up the entire room. Sonali understands she has been given a gift with her intelligence and treats it as such. She is modest and always willing to help. And I think that really does encapsulate your personality. Her smile can't let it. And she's incredibly humble. And she works so hard and she's so diligent, and other students like to be around her and work with her. And so we're very proud to honor Sonali as 207's best over her mates. So why don't you tell us who's with you tonight? What are your plans out for the future?
Both my parents are with me tonight, and I'm debating between University of Illinois and the University of Michigan for majoring in computer science.
You don't want me.
Yes.
Wonderful work.
Parents and students. We have a superintendent's award that we also would like to present.
So we have a special honor this evening. On the night of January 20th at Maine West High School, during a CSL boys basketball game, a young boy, about 4 years old, became distressed and was choking. And so the athletic trainers were called, but in the meantime, we have an assistant cheerleading coach, Michelle Demick. Is Michelle here? Michelle, would you stand up? So instead of waiting for the trainers to arrive, Michelle quickly took control of the scene, gave the young boy the Heimlich maneuver, and dislodged, I guess, a large piece of candy out of his throat, and literally saved the young boy. He, according to Mr. Kirshner, the athletic director, had already started having changes in skin color, and the boy was relieved. And so it was a heroic act, and one in which, you know, oftentimes we take for granted, I think, the wonderful adults that work with our kids. And we don't always know them. Michelle, I didn't know you before this, but wow. And it's one of those kind of things, though, that I really do hope that people understand the level of care of the adults that work in our schools. Because I think our teachers, our support staff, our cheerleading coaches, and everybody really is all about making sure that, and this wasn't one of our students, it's a future student probably, but in any event, just the level of care and concern. So Michelle, for your act of heroism, we are awarding you the Superintendent's Award tonight. So, thank you. I don't know if you want to say anything or demonstrate the Heimlich.
Turn him upside down.
I heard he was a college gymnast, so he may so you never know. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more award that I'm going to go a little bit out of order on the agenda and just do an update from board members. This award is something that Dr. Wallace himself has earned. He will be receiving the IACTE Champion of the Year Award on February 16th at a conference in Springfield. That award is awarded to individuals or entities for the highest meritorious contributions to the improvement, promotion, development, and progress of career and technical education. The awards committee will then forward his award for a national competition that's going to be decided in, I think, awarded in December. So we don't know if he'll win that, but if you've been following Ken at all, you know that this is an area that's really important to him, and it's terrific that he's getting acknowledged for it. So thank you. At this point, all the students are welcome to go out with their parents and have an opportunity to have a, okay.
I want to say one thing along the lines of that. So this week alone, so the students tonight were just phenomenal. Michelle, phenomenal. This past week I saw happening in a couple of our buildings, when you hear things like, what does student agency look like? So about a week and a half ago, I was over at Maine East High School, and there's a group of students that decided, you know, when I want to find out what's on the menu, I've got to go over here. Or when I want to find out, you know, what bell schedule we're at, we're over here. And they figured out there were 10 or so things that they had to figure out. So they developed an app to take all of those pieces of information and put it in one place. And then last week, there's a group of enterprising Maine South students that decided that a parking spot at Maine South High School is in fact a commodity. There's only 302 student spots, and I think there were 400 and something students that applied to get one of those spots. So they developed an app called Hawklot. And what that app is designed to do, we're still working out some of the bugs, but let's say that you're one of the lucky spot winners, and you have spot 275, and you know you're on a college visit tomorrow. Well, you can sell your spot to a junior who doesn't have a spot for the next day, and we're working out some cans to that. So and I say that because when we talk about, you know, authentic learning and college and career preparation, what we have an increased understanding of is just how important it is to really give our students agency and give them authentic learning experiences and support them. Because what we find every day is that if we support our students to get out of their way, they will do amazing things. There is this notion out there that our students somehow are less than they used to be, or not as good as they used to be. And I would say they're not as good as they used to be. They're a lot better. And I mean that sincerely. Every day I'm reminded of how much smarter our kids are, how much more information they've had access to, frankly, at District 207, how much more access to rigorous education we've given them. And they're just really, really a fine generation of kids. I have all of the hope in the world for the future when I look at what our young people are doing. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you guys all so very much for that.
And this is an opportunity now for you to, if you like, to keep the meeting, you can go and have your photos taken. Thank you so much.
You know what? You stay in this. I want to say one more thing. So I have one other special announcement, and I want the students to be here. I have a special announcement for one of our cabinet members who many of you don't know, but your lives have been impacted by this person in many, many ways, both very tangible ways and ways that you wouldn't even expect. Sometimes in life, and this is certainly true for Barb Del Varga, Barb Del Varga wasn't looking for a job, but a job was looking for her. In public education, it will not have been as good as it could be if someone like Barb Del Varga didn't get an opportunity to be a school superintendent. And I'm going to tell you what I told the search firm when I talked about Barb Del Varga. If Barb Del Varga is in a room with 10 male superintendents, odds are she's the smartest one in the room. And probably smarter than 2 or 3 of them put together, present company included. The difference is that all 10 of the men probably think they're smarter, and Barb is humble enough to never point out to them. But trust me when I tell you, if she's in the room, she's probably the smartest one in the room. And she found a champion, and she's going to an incredible district in California, Carmel, California. It's where Pebble Beach is, Big Sur, Clint Eastwood used to be the mayor. It's an incredible place, and it's exactly the place that needs her. And the reason that she's going there, they had moved several people in the interim role. The reason she's going there is her board president is a surgeon, and he reads Atul Gawande. And Atul Gawande is very much about coaching. If you know anything about the medical field right now, it's a very coach-driven field. Surgeons have coaches. And because of the work we've done here, your teachers all have coaching plans. Probably the only district in America that has that. And part of the reason that we've been able to get there is because of Dr. Del Varga. And that's what drew Carmel to her, the fact that she's been innovative and a leader, helping perform really good service to this district and to your teachers. So with that, I want to recognize our own Dr. Bob Del Varga, who beginning July 1, 2017, is going to Carmel, California as a new superintendent. And she's not going to be good, ladies and gentlemen, she's going to be great. She's going to be great. I wanted you guys to hear that.
And now, I
Congratulations. You're welcome. Good to see you again.
You'll end up on the floor, right? Hey, how are you?
Congrats again.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
Nope.
Okay. Update, Ken?
I have given all of my updates.
Okay.
Let me think. Yeah.
See you anyway.
Okay, are there any updates from board members?
I have one.
Yes.
There's going to be an exhibit tomorrow. It's an opening that's sponsored by the Park Ridge Police and McCabe, the Youth Assistance Foundation, where over 60 kids in District 207 are going to be showing their original artwork, and it's mostly photography in response to What's Your Anti-Drug, and it's open to the public, and it's an annual exhibit. So it's
Sorry, where is it?
It's at Brickton Art Center, 306 Plessy Highway in Park Ridge. That's the exhibit is tomorrow from 5 to 7. And it's nice because we give the kids a chance to have a real life opening. So they, it's just like a opening in River North or something. And then we have a little reception, and then it'll be open from tomorrow until February 24th if you'd like to see it. Beautiful work, and I commend all of the teachers in 207 that have worked with the kids on these pictures. Just beautiful work.
Thank you. That's great.
Is that part of the, is that part of the larger art gallery at Brickton? Terry,
That's
do you
going to
know?
be that's their show. They take over the whole
Right, right.
gallery.
But,
Room in the back, room in the back.
yeah, but it's not just those kids. Is it part of also the larger art department's
Show.
gallery?
Oh, no, no,
Okay.
this is a separate,
Okay.
it's called Photo Voice
Gotcha.
2017.
Okay,
And
It's only District 207.
It's only District
Okay.
207 kids, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be later in the year.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Also, does anybody know, so her main West hires are performing a special performance at downtown Des Plaines?
Fundraiser on Thursday, Tap House.
Yeah, Tap House.
I saw that.
Yeah, so anybody who might be interested, just if we watch water. It's this coming Thursday, right?
6 o'clock.
6
All right, policy committee update. Margaret?
Yes, thank you. The policy committee met twice on January 25th and again on February 1st. Thanks to the heroic work by Greg Dietz, we got through the majority of all of the policies that are really within the purview of the policy committee. The remaining policies that we cannot review, we're reviewing all of them and moving to the press structure where updates will be much more seamless, and we will not have policies that get out of date. The press policies will really cover the vast majority of our policies at that point in time. There's a couple of series left, but they are relating to things that would normally go to the finance committee or through the education committee. So the policy board sections are complete. They're all included for a first reading. We've called out 3 policies in particular where we've actually made substantive changes as opposed to minor substantive changes, or one of them is a new policy. Or we've, other than that, they're just renumbered and consolidated into probably less pages, more words on the page. But you can ask questions about that at the later on when they come to the first reading. I would encourage people to take some time if they're interested, dig through. If you have questions, go to Greg. There's a lot of changes. We're going to ask to adopt those policies with the press numbering, recognizing that we'll have 2 sets of numberings at that point in time at next month's meeting.
Just to clarify, the finance and education will also have to undertake a similar process.
To a certain degree, yeah. Definitely the finance ones. There's a lot of curriculum ones that I will get started, but I'm gonna need to rely on our APTLs and our associate principals and Barb, of course, and Jason for some assistance on those.
What about half of them are?
You did a really nice job on that, Greg. It was a lot of work.
173 policies are before you today.
And the committee, because they have.
Yeah, the committee.
Okay. And if we have more questions, we can. Education committee. The education committee met on January 26th. Order was called at 3:30. Really consisted of two different topics. A really in-depth great review of the PSAT, SAT report by the Director of Assessments and Grants, Dr. Don Marzo. As you know, we've switched to the PSAT format, so this is the first year that these tests were given to freshmen and sophomores and juniors, and they're applicable tests. So there's no, I guess it's getting a baseline, and then it'll take a couple of years to get longitudinal, more detailed information on how the kids are scoring on this. We can go a little bit more in depth, but I'm going to let Bart's going to present 3 minutes later in the meeting, so I don't want to duplicate that. The second, which was, again, highlights Dr. Bill Varga's excellence, was a school improvement initiatives presentation. Just very innovative with kind of the question. She ended the discussion and presentation with what would we look like in 2025, which I took as an oral commitment that Dr. Del Vargo was going to stay. I guess not. She might press that. I think that's my new contract in the state of Illinois. But it was just really, I don't even know how to describe it. I wish you could have seen it, and it's pretty brief, so if anyone wants to see it, I encourage you to do so. Probably some other people here, but and how she discusses it as a student learning process and aligning initiatives for student success with consideration of knowledge, time, space, roles, relationships, and using technology. So, and refocusing our efforts on many of the things that we're already doing and moving forward that are innovative and different under Ken's leadership and Mark's leadership, and looking at new ways just to continue our learning excellence. So it was a great presentation. And then the meeting adjourned at 4:54. I just want to follow up on that point. I enjoyed that presentation because it was sort of about, sometimes I think we can get kind of bogged down by details, and sometimes it's important to step back and say, what's our end goal, and ask those questions that, maybe we're not all thinking about, but like Barb is thinking about them. So thank you, I appreciate it. So we look forward to your report in 2025. Yeah. Your sister. I think I did finance. You do, yes. Finance committee? So the finance committee was held immediately thereafter on January 26th, starting at 5 o'clock. Really, there was 3 issues discussed then. The second quarter budget update. Mary Kalu updated the committee on the second quarter budget, projecting a surplus of $836,000, but that was on the presumption that we received 3 payments from the state, of which in reality we had received 0. To the date, only the state has made payments with as to driver education and general state aid. I was kind of highlighted that. Mary Kalu also updated on a 2016 financial scorecard. Kind of highlighted that, and again, she will update us later in the meeting, but that the district operating expense per pupil is lower than surrounding districts. However, our instructional expense per pupil is higher. So that was kind of highlighted that. And then the discussion of the Maine West yearbook contract was highlighted and discussed and is being brought to the board tonight for approval. We have different contracts for different yearbooks. There's no cost savings to consolidate for all 3 schools that question was asked, so this is the Maine West one. And then the meeting was adjourned at 5:23. Thank you. Okay, monthly status of finances.
Your board packet is the December financial report. As of December, the state owes us about $2 million. So how we end the year, as Board Member Bessel pointed out, will largely depend upon how much money we get from the state. So we'll know that by the end of August. So stay tuned. Also in here is the financial scorecard, which is really a longitudinal look at where our money comes from as a school district, how our money is spent, and then some benchmarks in terms of tax rates and operating expense per pupil. And the final financial report is the second quarter budget update. It goes through the budget in great detail in terms of the areas, but really the sum of it is we won't know how we're gonna end the year until we know what the state provides us. We also pointed out that because we sold bonds, we're gonna have a timing difference between the 2 years. This year we'll actually have a surplus of $10 million because the bond proceeds were in this year. Next year we'll have a deficit of $10 million because we'll be spending the money next year. So we kind of put that aside because it's a wash.
Mary, did you say how much the current state owes us?
$2 million.
2 million. And the state has been paid to our district up to, say like, budget of 2016 by December? Or
Right, so they
January?
gave us our final payments for last year. December 30th was the last payment of the payments we received from last year.
So $2 million owes
From
from state is
17.
from 17. So we are kind of current.
No, they have not made a single, normally they are supposed to make quarterly payments. So by December, you should have received your September quarterly payment and your December quarterly payment. They've not made any of those payments. So they are $2 million behind just this point of the year.
Which in Illinois does meet the definition of current.
Yeah.
So,
Which is not surprising, unfortunately.
Anything else? Any other questions for Mary? All right. Instructional services, Barb?
Sure. Okay, you have an insert in your board packet, and thanks to Don Marzok for the excellent work putting this together. This is kind of the report that we went over at the Ed Committee meeting. You'll remember that the state of Illinois has moved us to the SAT assessment, and so we are moving as a district from the E-Class set of assessments to the SAT suite. And this fall, we saw our freshmen, our sophomores, and our juniors taking the PSAT 9, the PSAT NMSQT, both at the 10th and 11th grade level. The 11th grade version of that is the one that helps qualify you for a scholarship. In the spring, our juniors will be taking the SAT. So this is the first year that we've entered this new suite of assessments, and because it's the first year, we don't have the longitudinal looks at data that we've had in the past. It will take us a few years to start building up that data set, but that'll be how we start tracking our growth in the district. Some good things about this set of assessments: we get good feedback, both for the district, for departments, for individual students to look at, and that kind of feedback can help direct them to using Khan Academy or big set of accounts in order to look at various parts of the 3 tests, which are reading, writing, language, and math, that they can focus on improving on. So that's a good thing. The first 5 pages of this report, or maybe 7 actually, are like an executive summary of the rest of the packet. So if you really want just the shorthand version, you can look at those. I would call your attention to 2 things. Keep within my 3 minutes here. The first one is that when you read the summaries on the results, you'll notice, or you should notice, that we have tested nearly 100% of our students, but the comparatives here against the state and the nation are significantly lower data sets. So the state of Illinois might have only tested 13% of their students, or 25%, whereas we've tested all of ours, and that's important to note. The second thing that I'd like to call your attention to, it's probably Ken's favorite page, is page 5, and this is the comparison of what the ACT used to tell us about college readiness benchmarks versus now what the SAT via the College Board set of assessments tells us. And if you look at page 5 of 28 and just look at the chart at the bottom there, you'll notice that by simply switching to the College Board set of assessments, miraculously, we now have 10% more students who are deemed college ready because of the more favorable set of cut scores that College Board uses. I would argue that even more of our students are college ready. If we look at our National Student Clearinghouse data, we know that number is probably even higher by 10 or 15% higher. So we're gonna start seeing these metrics change. It'll be interesting to see how headlines perhaps change in the state of Illinois. One can only hope. But anyway, this is our first report we bring before you. Sorry, I went over 24 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna jump on top and add a couple minutes. So this is really important and instructive that literally doing nothing more than changing the test raises our college readiness by 10 or 12%, which actually shows the problems with a standardized test trying to measure that. We, right now, just based on performance, have at least 60% of our students, and that is a low number because we can't find all of them. There's no way to track them in the United States. We have at least 60% of them actually completing college degrees. So ACT, by a minimum of 20%, was undervaluing our college readiness. We think the real number is probably 70 to north of 80%. That's why the Redefining Ready that the board approved last year, we were one of the, I think, first 5 districts in America to adopt that, is a much more holistic measure. For example, what is a better indicator of college readiness than students taking and passing college courses while they're in high school? There are very few things that matter more. So the move to SAT is good. It's good for our kids. It's good for our communities. But just know that no single test score can tell us what college readiness really is. Thank you, Barb.
I just want to say that the Khan Academy aspect of this is also important because kids can actually get tutoring without paying for it. They can self-tutor, which is really
Take some free practice.
right, and that's really powerful. I think there's a lot of people.
Just a quick question, overall PSAT, ACT, SAT scores overall, our district compared to state of Illinois or nationwide, we're supposed to be kind of like far higher ranking, but when we look at all the scores comparison, we are like only performing slightly better than.
So one of the things that Barb mentioned was that, and it goes to the test population. In a lot of states, only identified college-bound students take the SAT. In Illinois, everybody takes the SAT. So it has to do with the pool of test takers. And that's the problem with comparing states where or even districts where everybody takes the test. The national score is just for test takers. In many, many states, the only kids taking SAT are those that are identified college-bound. So their mean score is going to be a little bit higher than a state or a district where every student is taking the SAT. So that's part of what you have to understand about that piece of data.
But didn't she say 13% from Illinois?
Yeah, if you look at, depending on, like the freshman PSAT 9, the back and the front page, bottom paragraph there, we tested our freshmen this past fall, but only 22%, I'm reading correctly, right, Don? Interject if I'm wrong. Only 22% of freshmen in Illinois and 13% of freshmen nationally participating in that test. So, and those are probably going to be the highest performing kids in Illinois and the nation. So all of our kids participated at all levels, only 22% in Illinois and 13% nationally.
No, but
even within our states, there's a discrepancy.
Yes.
But now that, Illinois is paying for the SAT, we should see that Illinois number pop up, right?
They're paying for the junior SAT. We're paying as a district for 9th grade tests, for 10th grade tests, and the extra 11th grade tests. So
For all of our
we have
kids.
that longitudinal piece.
Right.
Not everybody will do that. So it'll get closer maybe, but it's not there yet.
And who's paying for the contour?
That's
Actually,
free.
it's
free.
State.
It's a
It's a
web-based.
package.
I'm familiar with Khan from the conventions we went to, but who's paying Khan? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it comes with our SAT purchase.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
Which is still less than the ACT.
Oh, yeah, all of the tests combined are less than the single junior SAT.
But the Khan is part of the package, that's what you're saying.
The other thing that SAT does is, helpful does, is they put all of their prep materials out on the website for free. So you can download all of that material, which is another benefit.
We're paying because Khan is part of the package, for SAT.
Well, no,
And that's
more,
not a bad thing, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out how con gets.
Well, I think
Okay.
that comes with the junior ACT that the
well,
state is
but
purchasing.
if you go back to the origins of Khan, and someone probably knows more about this, he started this actually by tutoring his nieces and nephews. And I suppose he's got some philanthropic support, but I don't know that he has greatly monetized Khan Academy.
I mean, I think it was free.
Yeah.
But I think what's nice about this is that they're actually tailoring the Khan Academy lessons with the SAT.
You could go on Khan Academy right now and it's free.
So he's a nonprofit then?
I would
But I think he also has
Yeah.
advertising. I don't think he's nonprofit.
The beauty of this is their SAT data flows right into Khan Academy, their account there, so that they can see their test results and get pointed to lessons that will help them on
Yeah.
specific sections.
Yeah, I'm more interested in how the money works.
Okay. Anything else on that? Ken, monthly update on FOIA requests?
We have no further requests this month.
Okay, item 7, we're gonna have discussion of the first reading on Board of Education policies and procedures.
Yes, so as I said, we have 173 different policies that encompass 4 of our series. We have 8 series in total in our board policy manual. And so what I would like to do is focus just on 3 of those 173, and then give the board members over the next month before our next board meeting a chance to give me a call if they have any specific questions about some of those other 170 policies that are up. Basically, if you recall, the policy committee took on the task of doing a wholesale revision of our policies to get them up to the same standards as the recommended policies from the Illinois Association of School Boards. And so instead of spending, I think it was $15,000 to $20,000 by having the school board association members do this for us, our policy committee decided we would do it ourselves and use that money, put it towards something else. And so since September, the policy committee has met several times and has reviewed those 173 policies, many of which we have agreed to adopt the model press policy. And in other cases where the Illinois Association of School Boards did not have a policy that was similar to one of our current policies, we kept our current policy as long as it still served its purpose and was not outdated. And we've done that in many cases. But probably most importantly, the press policies are more comprehensive, and therefore we were able to delete, our recommendation is to be able to delete several policies, because one press policy is pretty comprehensive, and it might cover 4, 5, or 6 of our own little individual 1 or 2 sentence policies. And then the final reason was many of our practices are contained in our support staff handbook and our collective bargaining agreements. And that's really where our staff members go to look for guidance on these topics. So going back to those 3 policies, 2 of them relate to the change in the law, which is called the Local Government Travel Expense Control Act that Governor Rounder signed into law. And so our policies for both board member expenses and staff member expenses are being updated here to be in compliance with that law. And so basically for the board members, what you'll notice is we've basically taken the $50 total meal expense per diem, and we've left it at $50 per diem versus worried about, okay, if it was between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., it's a breakfast, and if it's included, you know, those types of things. And so basically you'll see board members have a $50 expense. There is a little phrase in there that if part of your registration to a conference includes a lunch or a dinner or a breakfast, then the per diem amount is reduced by $10 per meal that is included in the registration. But because board members are prohibited by this law from having a procurement card, unlike our staff members, I think this will be easier for the board members just having the per diem, and that was recommended by the policy committee.
I would also note, Greg, as part of this policy, that our expenses must be approved by a roll call vote at a open meeting of the board. So we don't just submit our expenses, they will be, part of the, board's regular business on a monthly basis.
Yeah. Well, it may not have to be on a monthly basis. We've got to do one annually and then because we tend to like school board, you know, the school board conference or something like that, so whenever they occur.
But in advance.
Yes, in advance when they happen. And that was the one thing, the change in the law, I think based on some district down somewhere.
So the other policy that's unrelated to expenses is the electronic surveillance policy. And this is a policy that, as the policy committee members and other board members who are reviewing our policies, we decided that that was a pretty old policy and we've changed a little bit. We've added more security cameras. And so they thought it would be a good idea to have our law firm update that. And the reason we had to do that is because there's no representative sample from the Association of School Boards on electronic surveillance. So the policy that you see, the revisions that you see in front of you are recommended by our law firm, Franzik and Radwood. So those are the three main ones that I wanted to bring your attention to, and like I said, I'd be happy to sit down or talk over the phone or via email if you have any questions related to the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or 4,000 students.
Just very quickly, reference to policy 2900, electronic surveillance just mentioned. So basically, I see that we are, like you said, we are putting more security cameras throughout the public,
The public area.
Yeah. And I see a hallway, parking lot, driveway, et cetera, et cetera. How many classrooms?
No.
How that fits?
No.
I don't know.
No.
So if anything happens, students and teachers, accidents, or fighting, or whatever, how do we, security-wise, how to prove for
Well,
presenters?
as soon as you start getting into the classroom, you've got student privacy issues that you have to take into account. You also get into the realm of possibly working conditions for staff members, and that would be a bargainable topic, and we have not chosen to go down that route yet. And if we did, that would be something that we would have to bargain the impact on our teachers, if that were the case.
Yeah, we've got some teachers who do video lesson studies, but what they're trying to do is, you know, it's what football coaches do. They're trying to learn from it and use it as a coaching tool, but we're not suggesting anything like that. What we do is try to look into common areas where students are passing and actually our perimeter areas where you can see the parking lots and things like that. And that's pretty normal.
Because that's where our issues are. When we have a student discipline issue, it's, you know, we have our staff members in the classroom that are supervising our kids and doing a great job of that. It's when you have 2,600 kids, 2,300 kids walking the hallways and they're fairly unsupervised, that's why you need them in the hallways. That's why you need them at the entrances. That's why you need them in the parking lots. And
So we currently do not have all the security system throughout those public locations, or part of it at least?
yes, we have, and that's why we're updating the policy, because it used to just be at entrances, and now it's parking lots, and we've expanded that. That's the reason we've updated the policy.
Can I just ask one quick question? It says all electronic surveillance recordings will be recorded over or erased in a timely manner. Who determines timely manner?
It's based on the data. So for example,
So
if it's
when it reaches X amount.
if it's a camera that has a high traffic area, once it runs out of data, it'll start re-recording. And I think 7 or 10 to 14 days for a typical camera.
That's enough.
Closer to 30 days.
Oh, okay. So
Closer to
the-
30 days, but again, there could be variations if it's lighting conditions. I mean, it's not an exact number, but yeah, it's typically about 30 days. And once, if we have an incident within that time, typically you would have an incident within that time, we can save that bit of footage beyond that then, even within the system.
If it's reported and we know about it.
If it's
Exactly,
recorded, we know.
correct, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say that I know it's a ton of work for the committee and for you, Greg, and this is such a great thing because, I think, because it's automatically going to be, these policies that are press policies are going to be updated automatically, and if it takes a lot of the work of trying to make sure we're doing everything, you know, updating everything, it takes a lot of that out. And is, you know, we don't have to pay a
The
law.
most common revision date was 1988, and after next month, it'll be 2017.
Just also quickly, this our security surveillance system, are we notifying all the students also aware of that we are?
There's signs all over the
all
buildings.
over, right?
Yeah, they're
So
all over
that-
the buildings. They're on the parking lots and around the buildings.
Every entrance has that, as you notice.
Greg, every 19 years, whether we need you or not.
As I know, in 2021, the person that replaces me is gonna be happy that this board did this.
Yes.
Well, Barbara will still be here, so.
Yeah.
4 years before she's gone. I would like to know one thing, that actually, I believe as part of this, we looked at the board committees, and we will no longer have a policy committee as a standing committee. We've eliminated our job.
Well, we have to vote on that. Okay, all right, so this will be coming back up. So if you have any comments, thoughts, please give them to Greg, and then he can decide whether the committee needs to reconvene on any of that. Okay.
I'm sorry, so at this point, we don't need to set up another date?
Not at this point, because like I said, we're gonna get these hopefully approved at the next board meeting. And I will be doing lots of work on the series that remain, and then probably be meeting maybe after spring break.
And how many educational ones do you think there are? Curriculum?
We gotta do the review. There are many, many, many. The good news about it is, they're pretty general, so,
And they've been more updated.
They've been more updated. I know I've been, I think some of the
Anything else? Could I have a motion on the consent agenda, item 8, 8 through F?
Bessler. Childers.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Lee. McGrath.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Could I have a motion on item 9, approval of bids and awards of contract? So moved. Okay. This is the name by vehicle, which is. All right, with the roll, please.
Sullivan. McGrath. Lee. Collins. Childers. Bessler. Owen.
Aye. Can I have a motion on item 10, use of facilities? This is for the main, 4th of July.
So moved.
Okay.
I didn't hear anybody, so I said.
Okay, Mary. Any questions or comments on this? We do this every year. I did have one quick question. They do, the agreement that we have with the city provides that they take care of cleanup and everything.
Right, and they
Like a
also pay for
normal-
one of our grounds guys, they work
I
very
saw that.
collaboratively with our
If there's
staff.
damage to the.
If there's damage, if there's garbage.
That's in like a normal rental type.
Have we ever had any instance financially?
I'm
Well,
sure at some point there's been minimal damage that they've taken care of.
Take the roll, please.
Childers. Bessler. McGrath. Sullivan. Lee. Collins. Owen.
Aye. All right, calendar items. Does anyone have anything to add to the calendar items that are shown here? Meetings or anything like that? Okay. Item 12, are there any other communications or public comments?
Next time.
Okay. Could I have a motion, please, to go into closed session for purposes of review of closed session minutes, appointment, employment, compensation, performance, discipline, and dismissal of specific employees, and collective negotiation matters?
please call the roll.
McGrath.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Bessler. Sullivan. Lee. Collins. Owen.
Aye.